What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gooner channel, a channel 100% dedicated to the Arsenal, who, as we all know, are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. And this video kind of feels wrong for me to do it. It feels almost like a silly question. It feels like, almost feels wrong to me. It almost feels like I'm saying, or I'm saying I think that Arteta really isn't a make or break season this season, because progress is all well and good, but it's all about silverware. And it feels like that's a division in Arsenal fans at the moment. But the question came up in a live stream yesterday. Thanks to all of those of you who were there and loved your comments, really enjoyed it. But near the end, Anthony came on and asked, do you think that this should be Arteta's last season? And for me, that's a very, very difficult question to answer in a black or white way. And I want to kind of get your feedback, and I want to hear from you. But the reason I think it's a difficult question to answer is because, well, let's put it this way. Let's imagine that Mikel Arteta gets us to 95 points this season and we're unbeaten. That we smash past what the Invincibles achieved. We're unbeaten, 95 points, but we come second to Man City, who win it on goal difference or by a point. In this, in this hypothetical scenario, let's imagine we came to the semi-finals of the Champions League, or even the final, but were beaten by, I don't know, Real Madrid. We got deep in both of the cups, but went out. Maybe the League Cup, we went out on a really controversial decision. The FA Cup, we lost to Liverpool. They just slightly outplayed us on the day. Arne Slot, I think, is somebody that is starting to worry me a little bit. Liverpool could have the kind of season we did 2 years ago and surprise everyone. But in that scenario, in that 95 points, unbeaten, final or semi-final of the Champions League, deep in both competitions, would you sack Arteta? Is there a point where everyone can just say, look, he has done really well? You know, he's done really well. He's done better than George Graham did. He's done better than Arsene Wenger did in terms of scoring goals and winning matches, which is what managers do, right? In the 98 season, we weren't up against a juggernaut like Man City. We were up against a really good team in Man United, but they were fallible. We beat them at Old Trafford. We've got a game against City coming up. I can see a scenario where they beat us. Maybe we get a draw against Tottenham and lose to City. The knives will be out. The knives will be out. There is already a section of our fan base that's had enough. Because I understand it. It's so desperately disappointing to get close 2 seasons in a row. To only have an FA Cup to show for Arteta's period in charge. You have Man United, who have 2 bits of silverware. Would you rather be in their situation? The counter question to this magical 95-point unbeaten season is, would you be happier if we finished 5th, but we won the League Cup? Out of the Champions League at the group stage, or, just after, but we win the League Cup. Would you then keep Arteta? I think, obviously, if Arteta has a fall-apart season, if it all starts to go wrong, and I don't see that happening, I don't see the potential for that, but if he does have that kind of season, then no one's going to want to keep him. But if it's similar to last season, if we're building on it, but we just can't get past this Manchester City side, then, well, we're not the only team that can't get past this Manchester City side. And I know there's frustration around our transfer window. I know that it feels like we didn't do enough. For me, a DM was really important. Mourinho, I don't think, is that. It kind of asks questions of what the plan for Declan Rice is, if he's going to be the 8, but Mourinho's going to be the 8. Does that mean Mourinho is going to be a 6? Does that suit his style of play? Calafiori, another player on the left. We're covered on the left, aren't we? Another great centre-back, though, so you do think, well, maybe if something does happen to Gabriel or Saliba, touch wood, it doesn't, but if it did, you've got cover. So those 2 players, I don't think anyone's complaining about. And of course, we made permanent the signing of David Raya, and we brought in Neto on loan. And then there's the issue, which we talked about yesterday in the live stream, with Raheem Sterling. People don't seem that happy with him, but when I compare him with Jack Grealish, and they're a similar age, and you look at what Sterling's done and Grealish has done, would people be so disappointed if we'd signed Jack Grealish? Something about Sterling that you always seems to have to operate at a higher standard. Got a good relationship with Arteta. But we wanted a Nico Williams. So there is a kind of feeling, and there has been this feeling in our fan base for a while, that Arteta is on borrowed time. And that's what I'm addressing here. Because I can't say that there isn't a circumstance under which I would sack Mikel Arteta. But he's got the dressing room. I've said this before. There are 3 circumstances which usually lead to the sacking of a manager. 1, you lose the board. If you piss off your bosses. If you upset your bosses in life. 2, the dressing room doesn't believe in what you're saying anymore. I think you're seeing that with Ten Hag. Honestly, I really do. I think players like Rashford and Sancho, Casemiro, I don't think they have the faith in Ten Hag that you need to propel that club forward. And I'm all for it. Keep Ten Hag as long as you want. But Arteta's players seem to still believe in Arteta. Whether that would still be the case if we went on a really bad run, I don't know. But I'm guessing it would be. And finally, we, the fans, play a part in this. I don't think it was a massive coincidence that Unai Emery lost his job after the Frankfurt game, where hardly anyone turned up to see us lose. And there was just a dissatisfaction. Whether Stan Kroenke sees this just as a business, or he has some love for the idea of creating a successful club in Arsenal to challenge on the world stage, to be one of the elite clubs. I don't know. I don't really care what his motivation is. But at a certain point, I think if he feels like the fans are drifting away from the project, that'll put undue pressure on Arteta. And then, of course, there is this... So I'm just saying, to say, would you sack Arteta if we don't win silverware? It's a difficult question to answer. But the key issue that never really gets resolved when we have these debates, and I'm looking to have this debate, there will be a live stream later tonight, get involved. I want to hear from you if you are Arteta out. I know there's a few of you that I have a lot of time for. We just don't see eye to eye, but let's talk about it. And then let's not talk about it anymore. All right? Let's talk about what we think, get it out there, and then never talk about it again. Because this season we have to stay positive. This season, I'm sick of other channels saying that the reason that we're not winning silverware is that we don't have high enough standards as fans. Well, I didn't take any credit for the Invincibles. I went to every home game, but it wasn't because I had these magically high standards that Arsenal won all that we've won since I've been watching. It was a joyous thing for me to celebrate as somebody who decided to be an Arsenal supporter. I supported them. And there's been some really tough years since. Especially when you get that high, when you get to Champions League final that kind of felt like it was taken away from us, and then a decline over the years ever since. A decline in which time we have won silverware, but it wasn't enough. We want the big trophies. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be delighted if we won the League Cup. I'm just saying that I could see a scenario where we win the League Cup and the clamour to get rid of Arteta goes stronger because we finished 4th or 5th. We've lost that progress. But given that he's got the backing of everybody, given that he has the support from the owners, seemingly from the players, seemingly from the largest part of our fan base, although I'm not sure, whenever I do polls on this, on YouTube, there is a much greater contingent of people who want him out. On the Facebook group, I get told it's a silly question. Why am I asking it? And I kind of hope you feel the same. But essentially, I want to get this out of the way now. I want to say my bit. That Mikel Arteta has shown progress. And you don't let go of people who've shown progress. You support them and you back them. And we don't know what's going to happen. So all of those people that are saying it's a fact that we won't win anything under Arteta, it's not a fact. And the final thing that's of interest here is that do we think that Arteta will leave anyway to go to Barcelona? And I don't personally. I think that he came to Arsenal with a plan to win the big silverware. And he's gotten as close as you can get without achieving it. And I don't think that should put him in the spotlight for hatred I don't think that should put him in the spotlight for abuse. I think that breaking the record number of wins for an Arsenal team, the second half of last season, most of the season before, outstanding performances. People say he spent a lot of money. It's relative. He spent a lot of money, but players go for a lot of money. This summer, they didn't spend as much money. I think we broke even, didn't we? Might even have made £1. And everyone's complaining he hasn't spent enough money. It's true that you cannot please all the people all the time. You certainly cannot please all Arsenal fans. But to the question, do I think Mikel Arteta should go this season if we don't win something? I'm going to say, and I think it will be a really annoying thing to hear for some of you, I'm going to say if there's progress, if it feels like we're still in a good position, then I'm keeping him. Let me know how you feel in the comments. And look, I don't say this all the way through, but if you like this content, then click like so that we keep making it. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. And hopefully I'll see some of you on tonight's live stream. Until then, be lucky. Lots of love.